Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it's Monday, and that means it's time for the Wrestling Inc. Monday Night Raw after show. And have we got a show for you? We got a new side of Chad Gable. Sheamus made his return, and we have beautiful new tag team championships. Before we get into all that, allow me to introduce the crew. I'm Jack Farmer, being joined by Justin LaBar and the masked referee, Jimmy Korderas. Jimmy.
That's got to be Nick Patrick under there.
I assume it's Jimmy.
Hola, it's El Hijo del Ref. No, it's my little tribute to El Santo. El Hijo del Santo. Whoops, they fell out. Oh, sorry.
Oh.
The earbuds fell out. There. Did I mess up my hair?
Yeah. I love it. What a great tribute there. How come there's no masked referees? We've got masked masked commentators now. Who's the next masked person in wrestling?
I don't know. I wish it's kind of funny that Excalibur is still wearing the mask now that he's at the commentary table.
It'd be a great cheat for a referee if they have the right kind of mask and they could jibber jabber away at the talent and tell them cues and not even have to ventriloquist it.
No, right. Not only that, can you imagine it's like back in the Lie, Cheat, and Steal days, Eddie Guerrero spins it around on him and he can't see anything? Oh my goodness.
So
writes itself.
Yes. Well, we got a lot to cover here today. It's in a jam-packed event for WWE Monday Night Raw. Let's get into the news. Before we do, as always, thanks to everyone who joined us. Make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe. We got a bunch of you in the chat already. Appreciate you all, even if you're just lurking. But let's talk about some news. Some news that I guess is good, good and a little sad. But Big E went to X, I should say, to comment on the status of his health. Said, "Hey all, 2-year neck scans are in. Things are unchanged. My C1 has healed fibrosely, but has not formed new bone. I'm not medically cleared, and truthfully, I may never be cleared, but I am blessed to be free of pain, immensely happy, and otherwise healthy. Life is good." Justin, I always say the double-edged sword. I mean, obviously the best news is that he's feeling good. He's feeling healthy. But as a selfish wrestling fan, kind of bummed out. It sounds like not going to see Big E in the ring anytime soon.
Yeah, as a selfish wrestling fan, it sounds like it is a long shot to get him back into, get him back to a point of where he once was, where it looked like he was, going to be a breakout single star from New Day, and let's see world title runs. Obviously a Hall of Fame career already, he in the New Day, no matter what. But yeah, in reality, stepping away from just the pro wrestling fandom, the fact that he's pain-free, that is the most important thing. The fact that he can live pain-free, because, he's a charismatic guy. And we've seen them utilize him on, in a talking position on panels and such. And so there's nothing to say that we still can't get some enjoyment, can't get something of Big E still in our WWE lives. It just might not involve bumping. But again, as he said, as his last line there, life is good.
Yeah, Jimmy, the older you get, the more you appreciate someone being pain-free and being able to feel healthy and how important that is. And so that is something that is you can't overstate how important it is that he's feeling good. And to Justin's point, though, he is so charismatic. I'm sure that if he wants to be a part of the WWE universe, are we still calling it the WWE universe? If he wants to be a part of it, there's plenty of place for Big E.
Absolutely. And we've seen it before with other superstars who can't compete in the ring any longer or bump or take any kind of physicality whatsoever, being utilized in different ways, whether it is on the microphone, because we saw him on the panels before at the thing in Vegas that they did before.
Not pre-show. Yeah. What's
the kickoff?
The kickoff. Yes, that's what it was. Yeah. So we saw a little bit of his charismatic side come out there and being able to communicate to the audience very well. And, doing some charity work, kind of like stuff Titus O'Neil does and stuff like that, because he's still associated with the company. So there's lots of great use that they can get out of him. But like you guys said, the first and foremost thing is him being pain-free. And that is it's good on the doctors, good on him for realizing that, because, sometimes, that mentality takes over where you want to get back in there. And it's a hard thing, especially for someone who truly loves the business to kind of give that side of it up.
Yeah, that's what's good about having doctors that you got to get cleared through, right? Because I think I speak for a lot of people where sometimes your brain tells you can do something that your body can't do anymore, and so it's good to have a third party go look at it. Because Biggie looks like he's in fantastic shape. I'm sure his brain says he could do whatever, but it's good to have a doctor. Pause.
Yeah. No, really quickly here, and that's a good point, that the protocols have changed over the years where, like you said, guys would be not good to go, but they would say they're good to go because that's how they're trained. That's the way the old school was. And that's one of the good things that the old school has, the new school has dealt away with. They brought in these protocols with doctors and so forth, and making sure that the talent protects themselves from themselves.
Yes. We got some updates on some backstage production stuff going on at WWE. PW Insider says that they are currently planning for much of the augmented reality content commonly used on Raw and SmackDown to be dialed back significantly. Such content will still be used on occasions, such as for premium live events, but its general use is expected to be toned down going forward. This also follows reports that WWE will be scaling back its set and Titantron at TV tapings in favor of smaller setup, as seen during WrestleMania's two-night spectacle in Philadelphia. Jimmy, I'm assuming the augmented reality is like the big time Becks, or like the lips with the hair and stuff like that float in the sky. I've not been a fan of those for a long time, so I, for one, am excited that those are going. And I like the scaled down version. I think we've had such big productions that this feels cool and new and different. How do you feel about the scaled down approach?
I don't mind it at all because, again, I hate to sound like the old school guy, but it gives a little bit of that old school feel. It makes you feel like the way you did during the Attitude Era, not area. Mm-hmm. Same thing, whatever. Right. It's whatever the reason is, they're scaling it down. I like the look in Wells Fargo Arena where they had really scaled down, where you can see the audience behind. Mm-hmm. That looked really good. It gave a nice feel, and perception is reality to the audience when they say, look at the building, it's completely sold out. We had to scale down our set just to fit all the people in so that people can actually see what's going on live. And it's a good look. And whether it was production costs, whatever the cost may be, or the reason may be, it doesn't matter. It's still a pretty darn good look. And you don't need all that extra bells and whistles. And like you said, at times it was a little bit annoying.
Yeah. Justin, I don't know. I really like the smaller setup. In fact, that one right before WrestleMania, where it was just a very small setup, I really dug that. Do you prefer the smaller sets, or do you want a big fist coming at you?
No, I appreciate the smaller sets. Ever since 2008, when WWE started dubbing themselves and it was in the corner, WWE HD. When everything moved to HD. The philosophy always was, and this was very much, and I know this for a fact, I got to spend some time around WWE production in that time period. Everything was driven by Vince and Kevin Dunn. Is bigger is better. How big can we make the set? How many lights? Which at the time, what have you? I get that. It's not like it's a dumb philosophy to have. But I think over the years, and you always got to evolve. You always got to reinvent. You always need to change stuff, get a fresh look on it. I think what the new regime's doing, what Kevin Dunn's no longer there as well. I think all the things they're doing and scaling down is when you scale down and you have an arena full of people, it's not like you're scaling down and you're looking like a cheap, low budget independent show. When you're scaling down, but still have bright lights, still HD, still have the house full, it provides an intimacy and an energy that comes across the TV very well. You don't need to have an aisleway, unless you have a special show with maybe weapons or something where you need to give the performers more room. When you narrow the aisleway a little bit, and the fans are all within reach, there's just that creates a certain vibe and energy that I think when you watch it, you feel it, and it's also like, man, maybe even subconsciously, man, I want to buy a ticket. I want to be part of that. Look how close I could be, and look, I really dig it. Like Jimmy said, I love when they were in Chicago just before Mania. You could see up behind. Same thing at Wells Fargo Center. So I'm in favor of this, and yeah, the augmented reality, I think save it for special occasions, special big shows. When you have your largest TV audience on a Peacock or what have you. But yeah, I don't think you need to have it as much as they had been these last few years. So I'm a big fan of this, and then that lends it all the way down to the creativity we're seeing over these last few weeks and months. We saw it tonight with the Jey Uso exit and Sami Zayn entrance. They're just trying and doing so many things with camera work and continuous camera shots, going from backstage or concession stands to arena. It really feels like you're watching an experience. It's not the formulaic, okay, house lights go down, let's go back. Like, it feels like an experience. Like, this entire arena is full fair game for the Raw audience to be part of. And camera's going to turn this way. You never know who you might see here, what you might see this way. It's a lot of fun. It leaves it unpredictable, which is good for the viewer.
If I could just piggyback off that, Justin, one of the other things that I like that they're doing is when there is someone who's going to surprise and jump into the ring and attack someone from behind, you don't see it coming. The way they're shooting it is perfect. So they come into camera view just when they make the strike. And that's little things that matter that make it feel that much better.
Perfect example is last Monday on the finish of when Punk pops up from under the ring, grabs McIntyre's ankle. They shot it and framed everything perfectly for the reveal of Punk.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Lots of great stuff going on with their production right now. It's just fun to watch. There were a couple things I wanted to throw out. Laura Rock said, I love the new intro. I do as well. I believe you're talking about the then, now, forever together. I always forget the together part, by the way, whenever I say that. But Ebony Washington, with a good point, says if they scale down the set, they got to light the crowd beyond row 3. Otherwise, it feels like a house show. I do feel like, I know sometimes you're at the whim of the venue, but I love it when they light up the crowd. And I know WWE has been packing these places. I wish they'd light up the crowd more. I agree. I like it when you can see all the people personally. I don't know if there's a reason they don't light up the crowd.
Well,
do you have any idea?
Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, they do still. Again, I think it's been less recently, but there is still some times where it sounds like there's some canned production sound of crowd reactions. Again, it's been less and less because I feel like the crowd reactions have been more authentic. And again, they've had great houses. But traditionally, I believe, and Jimmy might have some more insight having actually worked there, but I've always been under the belief of you limit when you light the crowd, because if they're not making a whole bunch of movement and noise and what have you, if the audience at home sees them just sitting still, again, that gives off a bad translation at home. So that's what my understanding has always been, is you light the audience only when they're worth lighting.
No, you're absolutely right, Justin. That's the way it was. Sorry to cut you off there, Jack, but perfect example again tonight when Jey Uso was out there in the yeet and everybody's doing the yeet thing. That's when you light up the crowd. Let everybody see at home that everybody's on board and playing along with Jey Uso. That's a perfect example.
I was going to say, people may not be moving around the way you want them to, but there's this ancient saying that goes, no risk it, no biscuit, I believe it was Socrates who once said, I love it. I want to see it anyways, but but to move on, there is some interesting news. Speaking of productions, the draft is coming up, and I think that this one's going to be interesting because it's going to be the first Triple H draft. But sources close to NXT's creative process told Fightful Select that there is a push to make it more of a third main roster brand, similar to how things were before the COVID-19 pandemic, when NXT was also included in the brand warfare storyline at Survivor Series. This means that there's a strong chance that main roster talent can be drafted to NXT in the upcoming draft. With Fightful reporting, the appearances from Ivar in the Final Testament are examples of how stars from Raw and SmackDown are likely to make Tuesday nights their home. Justin, do you like the idea of NXT being just a third brand, or do you prefer it being sort of a developmental kind of future stars? I call it college football kind of brand.
Well, no, I prefer it to try to be as much of a third brand and be somewhere closer to the level of Raw and SmackDown rather than, down here and be in the notable double or triple A. Raj Giri and I famously had great arguments for a lot of years about this, of, where he was always like, NXT is clearly the minor league in the WWE umbrella. But I think now it does make a lot of sense. We've seen some two-way street. We've seen Baron Corbin go down there, and he's had a great resurgence of his career. You mentioned some others. And I think that now more than ever it makes sense, because your booker for NXT and your booker for Raw and SmackDown are very in sync and they're on the same page. So it's not like you're going to have a guy or girl get over in NXT as whatever gimmick and then get brought to Raw or SmackDown and it's unrecognizable. Now there is a certain synergy that it all makes sense and we can have players go between the three brands. Yes, NXT week to week is a intimate TV studio, TV wrestling kind of feel, but they have shown they can still draw good attendance at big arenas for their takeovers, for their PLEs. So I think that combined with who knows what NXT might start doing week to week as they get ready to make their big move to CW and they're going to want to make an impact there. I think showing some talents that maybe have kind of ran a little course on Raw or SmackDown just creatively, just giving them a fresh locker room in NXT, that could do great. And so I'm all for, I understand the NXT world champion is never going to main event WrestleMania, at least not in current standpoint. I get that, but I think if you can give NXT more credibility and put them more at the grown-up table rather than the kids table, I think that's going to be best for business.
I can see, Jimmy, how that would work in a lot of ways. Do you think, though, there are going to be some main roster stars who don't necessarily like the idea of going to NXT because of what it was known as? Think it's going to ruffle any feathers to get told, hey, you're an NXT person now?
I think if it's explained to them in the right way that the reason that they're going there is because they are being underutilized, maybe on the main roster, and they can go down there and reestablish themselves, recreate themselves, or even help elevate other talent down there, maybe they'll look at it differently. Sometimes guys get boo-boo faced. It happens. To some it might feel like a demotion, but it depends on how it's explained to them. And like Justin said, you've got Triple H and Shawn Michaels there who are in sync. They're of the same mindset, and they could probably talk to these talents and convince them, listen, this is going to be better for your career than sitting up in the locker room waiting for something until creative has something for you. Come down here, we'll put you to work, and we'll get the wheels rolling that way. The challenge is going to be for the stars coming from NXT to the main roster. Hopefully they will, and I'm confident that they will, under this new regime, tell a backstory so that the people who may not be watching NXT get to know who these talents are that are being drafted from the NXT brand.
And if you're from Raw or SmackDown and you're being sent, to NXT, like Jimmy said, as long as there's a good explanation and you feel like you're still part of the team and you're contributing, but also a big thing, if your money doesn't change, if it's not changing your downside guarantee, if it's not changing your money, quite frankly, to some guys, one, if they can see the creative, opportunity of, okay, yeah, I was kind of just, I was kind of idle creatively on Raw or SmackDown, or I've lost, whatever. If they had the fresh creative opportunity, if they're still getting paid the same thing, but also, a lot of the talents, they are based down south, they are based in Florida, and so if this NXT at the PC remains, all of a sudden now you don't have to leave the state for a certain amount of time to do your job and still get paid and still get on TV. That might be a nice little break, if you will.
Yeah.
Might give guys a good opportunity to, especially if they're coming back from injury or something, maybe time to get in shape and get ready, because then they're not traveling, so they'll be able to do the workouts and get in the ring and do all this stuff without the travel, so that once they are ready to get back on the road, they're absolutely ready to get back on the road.
Get those reps in, because that's important.
Justin, one last thing on this. Do you worry that if NXT starts drafting a bunch of main roster people, that it'll make it hard for NXT to develop younger talent because they'll already have stars on their brand?
No, I don't. I think it's a good question, but I think that there's a balance you strike, and I think that's going to be always front of mind. They'll be front of mind. And I think it's also going to be based upon NXT getting back out and maybe even doing some more shows, even if it's still just within the state of Florida or within the southern region, of starting to do maybe just a few more events that aren't on TV, a few more live events, just to get, again, guys and girls reps in front of a live crowd. But no, I think as long as you strike a balance there between the content that's going to be, it's on USA now, it's going to soon be on the CW, and then I think NXT has another show too. Is it the
level main event? Oh no, level up. Yeah, level up.
I think it'll be fine. They'll figure it out. But I think this is good. I think this could do more good than harm in the long run for everybody.
I think it'll go fine, but you gotta ask the questions. So So let's get into the show. But before we do, as always, I want to shout out everybody who is here with us, whether you're lurking or whether you're here with us. Brendan Toomey, Bernie DC, Peter P, Dylan Matthews, Laura Rock, Donnie, Steven, Killer of Demons, Ethan Cruz, Stock and you, Max, Tommy O, Daniel, and Ebony, and Ethan. I said Ethan already. Scott and Tuck and Troy. It's Kenny. There's too many of you. I'm sorry. So many. Manish, so all the way from India. Appreciate you showing up. King Kia, Michael Smoot, Blue Chew, Casey J, and Joe C. I wanted to shout you out. You were there. So cool. So cool that you were there today. And it was an amazing time. I would love to hear about how the Sami Zayn reaction went. That seemed like that was a very cool moment to get to be a part of. Fresh Take here as well. I haven't seen you here before, Fresh Take. At least I haven't called you out, I don't think so. Happy to see you here. Let's talk about. I did want to say too. I saw a comment in the YouTube chat or in one of the YouTube videos, and I just wanted to explain something for people who know. I'm always paying attention. Here's the thing, though. There's a lot of stuff going on when you're driving, and so people say, "Jack, you're not looking at the screen." When I look over here, I'm looking at my notes. This is where all the stuff is that we're about to talk about. When I'm looking over here and down, it's because this is the chat. I got to see what's going on over here. So I'm checking over here and I'm checking over here. I'm paying attention. I just got a lot of stuff to balance.
There's a lot of screens here to be looking at.
Yeah, there's a lot of things to look up. Yeah, so people someone said I wasn't paying attention. I'm very much paying attention. I'm trying to look at everything.
Even the technologically disadvantaged senior over here has got two screens going at the same time. So hey, if I can do it, anybody can.
I don't know how. I don't know how you do this show and not. I mean, I have one screen. It's like 20 inches. I don't know how you do this screen. I don't know how you do this without multiple screens because it is right. There's too much going on.
Yeah. So
it makes me feel like I'm in the TV truck and I don't like being there. So
right. Yeah. TV truck is stressful. This is a stressful place. But by the way, Fresh Take was Jakey Bakey. Okay, that's a name I remember. Manish says working from the truck. So let's talk about this show. 5-star reviews, by the way. Just line them up, guys. Like, comment, share, subscribe. We're going to start today with the start of the show. Rhea Ripley comes out in a sling, implies she was attacked by Liv Morgan. Oh, she was attacked by Liv Morgan. Implies she was injured from Liv Morgan. Says she's going to vacate the title, which is the thing that means most in the world to her. Cuts a great promo against Liv, who comes out, but security separates them. Liv Morgan says she's not the bad. Later on, she says she's not the bad guy. Her revenge tour ends with the title. Nia Jax also talks some smack later. Jimmy, I see a nodding along here. I thought this was one of Rhea Ripley's best segments or promos I've seen. I loved this. What were your thoughts?
I truly loved it too. I thought Rhea Ripley nailed it because she showed different emotions throughout the entire thing. It was somber when she came out, and you knew that there was, arm in the sling and the whole bit. And then she elevated her anger. You saw that rage starting to come out, and that spitting fire on the mic, which is a nice change to see from her. Well, we've seen her before in that kind of capacity, but not like this. This was a different level for her. And then with Liv coming out, you saw the facial expressions. And we talk about this all the time. This is where you make your money, right here. And she did that. And Liv with her expressions too, you got to give her props too, because she was playing that smarmy character, really egging Rhea on. The segment absolutely worked. And that headbutt she gave to that security guard, oh my goodness, next level. I thought it was great. And it almost felt, and I hate to make this comparison, CM Punkish with Drew McIntyre. You can't wait for her to come back now when eventually it will happen, because you've got a ready-made rivalry in the waiting to happen, and that's money.
Yeah, Manish actually said if Liv can capitalize 60% of what Drew has done with that Punk thing, it can be fire emoji. Justin, I'd love your thoughts on this, and I'd also love your thoughts on what to do with Rhea Ripley while she's injured. She's such a hot star right now. Do you keep her on TV or do you take her off so that we can grow to miss her? I'd love your thoughts on how you would handle this situation.
Well, as you guys all know, I'm a huge Rhea fan. So this sucks to see after 380 something days, they said that her title reign is going to come to a pause. I've been saying though for months, right? Like she's just getting such a babyface reaction despite her being with the heel Judgment Day group. And then tonight's vacating the title was such a babyface way they did it. Her promo of saying dropping this hurts me more than anything, and then Liv coming out and antagonizing her, and then authority security figures stopping Rhea from she's ready to fight Liv one arm, very babyface. So I say you take her off screen. That pains me, but I think let people miss her. I don't think it's going to be a hard task there. Let people miss her. I also think this gives you a chance again to do what I've been kind of saying, which is you can set things up now. Now, if she can come back and be away from the Judgment Day, or this kind of buys you a little bit of time. I don't know how long she's going to be out for. I don't know if we're talking about a SummerSlam return. I don't know if we're talking about sooner or later, but I would have her go away for now. And I think tonight the backstage segment we saw with the Judgment Day giving her a hug and she walked off, I think that was the symbolized such of don't expect to see mommy on TV hanging out in Club Judgment Day backstage. And I think that's the right thing to do, because there's clearly been for a while a situation of she kind of outgrew Judgment Day in one respect to where she probably needs to be positioned as her own. And this kind of, this provides her that opportunity.
Yeah, Jimmy. This was something that really was weird. Sitting not well with me is she comes out and she says to the world that she's losing the thing that's most important to her, the world championship. If you're Dom, how do you take that?
It's funny you mentioned that, because that's what I was thinking exactly. Justin brought this up a long time ago, where you want to see possibly that split between her and Dom and what makes them split up. This is the perfect time for Dom to stray while mommy's away, to cause that split. I think that would be the easiest way to put it. And you were already seeing a little bit of friction in Judgment Day. We were seeing Damian Priest, really coming out as the leader of Judgment Day. And when mommy comes back, things could be a little bit different. Let's put it that way.
What if Dom catches eyes with Liv Morgan, the very woman who just injured Rhea?
That would make Liv Morgan would be very hated after that. Is she the favorite to win the championship? Liv Morgan or Nia? Do you think Nia Jax?
Oh, that's a great. And all of this tonight, I really hadn't thought about who's the next champion. Did Jack? Did they didn't say tonight, like, we have no information about how we're going to get into champion. They didn't say a tournament. They didn't say anything, did they?
I don't think they did, but the two people that spoke about it were Nia and Liv. So I'm assuming they're the two that.
If I'm not mistaken, Michael Cole at the end of the night, somewhere along the line near the end of the night, said next week we'll have a new women's champion. If I'm not mistaken, maybe I heard that wrong.
I will say this. I think that, and it's tricky because we're going to have the draft, so it's kind of like everybody's kind of almost free game. But I would go with Nia personally. I guess Liv's got some heat right now, so there's that. But then with Nia, it's like she was so dominant. She suffered a loss to Rhea in Australia at Elimination Chamber, but otherwise, Nia just gets such a consistent reaction. Becky gets a consistent reaction as a face, but for the most part, Becky, it seems like she might be taking a little bit. Or I know she's doing the European tour, but I don't know if she's going to be on TV regularly. So I guess Liv or Nia would be where I would go with this. But it seems like they naturally might have a heel turn with Liv just based upon her injuring Rhea.
Yeah, it's tough because both of them are kind of in situations where they sort of like this is their time, And so I don't know who you go with. I kind of agree. I'd like to see Nia Jax get it because Liv has so much character that I think that there's a lot of things she can do. And like we're talking about, if she starts hanging around Dom, there's already stuff that she'll be just fine. Where Nia Jax, she's kind of one of those people that she needs some championship gold, I think, to keep being the person that steamrolls everybody.
I like the options it would give. If Nia just swoops in here and just wins this vacated title, I like the options it provides of you have Nia who has that, who when Rhea comes back, Rhea's like, you can never beat me. You picked it up because I vacated, but you then have also the situation of Liv who injured Rhea. So I think I do like the idea of Nia being champion. I don't know.
Yeah, because you don't need that title to be in play here when you have Liv. When Rhea comes back, it's a natural rivalry right there. It's money without the title.
All I know is when Rhea comes back and that like This Is My Brutality hits, oh my God, I'm going to lose my mind already. Like, I feel like it could be next week and I'm going to lose my mind when her music hits.
Now, unless, and I don't think, because I feel like Triple H probably has like I feel like he's got some kind of storyboard somewhere sitting around. Unless they have the draft coming up here at the end of the month, unless they decide to shake things up and say, like, Bianca, we're going to put you in that situation, or Jade, we're going to put you in some kind of build to it. But I feel like with Jade, he's got like some kind of like envelope. It says like confidential, and it's got like a passcode, and like the plans for Jade are in that, and we're not I feel like that's going to be like heavily protected. So I don't think we're going to like necessarily fast pass her to a situation that we're not sure of. But it is all relevant that the draft's coming up. That again, that does give them, if nothing else, creative freedom. Okay, we're going to make Nia the champion now, but okay, now we need to line up A, B, and C challengers for her on the brand that she's on. So at least the draft gives you that freedom.
Right.
We got a question. I'm just going to throw it to you, Justin, real quick. Who holds gold first, Liv or Jade?
I'm going to go with Jade, or I'm going to go with Liv, just because I'm going to think that they're going to really hold off and make Jade's a big spectacle. So like I can see Liv maybe here in the next few months, but I feel like Jade's going to be like a big, a premier event that it's going to build to.
Yeah, it's got to be, like you said, Justin. It has to be on a big platform, not on a Monday Night Raw.
Well, and also I go Liv just because Liv may be a champion next week. Jade doesn't have anything on the schedule as of right now, so I'll go with the one that has a matchup coming potentially soon. I want to go. Speaking of championship gold, I want to go to the end of the night here, where Sami Zayn faced Chad Gable in a match, and it was a good one. Sami Zayn gets the win, but the story is post-match. Chad Gable attacks Sami Zayn. Now, we had one of our own there, Joe C, said, amazing welcome home for Sami. He went up and down through the crowd during the commercial breaks. And then Sami really sold the injury after the attack from Gable after the show. Lots of stuff I want to get into here, whether it be the way Sami Zayn entered the match, whether it be some of the stuff like Bronson Reed wanting a taste of the title after this and everything else. Jimmy, give me your thoughts. It was your hometown guy. It's just because you're the same country. Hometown guy.
Of course.
Jimmy's in Toronto.
Yeah.
Anywhere,
only 5 hours.
Anywhere.
It's a different province, right?
Yeah, basically. But it's close to the border of Ontario, so it's
it's like me saying Las Vegas is like a hometown guy for me, but whatever. It's Canada. It's all the same thing. So, what? Tell me what you think about this main event.
No, first of all, I love the entrance going through the crowd. It made perfect sense, especially being home as Sami was going through that crowd. You saw the love. They loved Sami there. It's so hometown. Of course, they're going to go banana, as the great Pat Patterson would say. But the match itself, to borrow a phrase from JR, was a real slobber knocker. Boy, those guys really put it on. And there was a couple of bumps there that made me go, ooh. Especially on the Germans and the ones they do in the corner and stuff like that. It still makes me a little bit cringy. But overall, I thought the match was really good. So solid and told a great story. And the emotions you saw from both guys, they're selling everything. And then after the match, after Sami won, going over to his wife, and you don't, like we talked about earlier, the camera shot, you don't see him coming. You thought, oh, we're going to get a wonderful celebration. He's hugging his wife, and here comes Chad in behind and Germans him on the floor. Just done beautifully. I thought that this set up everything really, really well for the future, because there's going to be a hell of a rivalry between these two.
Yeah, Justin, what I love, I want you to talk about that entrance, and just I think how not only it's cool, it's different, but also like it was story in this entrance as well. But also we're seeing a dark side of Chad Gable. This is going to be an interesting development, I think.
I love the entrance. So I mean, it was a little weird that Jey Uso's going to the crowd and he's going to the concession. It's like, why is he going out the door there? But at least when he gets to Sami at least explains why Sami's there, saying, Montreal, this building was the first show I ever saw. So I'm going to enter tonight as champion, but I'm going to go through the same door that I did, all those years ago. I thought that was cool. That was very cool. And then again, him going through, and this is all one continuous camera shot. There's been no cutaways, so it's, you know, for you TV fans, it's very West Wing, a lot of whole long walk and talk. For you movie fans, it's very Scorsese, Goodfellas. Henry and Karen make the entrance into the club. A lot of fun. As a TV production guy, I eat over these wins. This was a lot of fun, a lot of energy. So that was great. Match was great. I agree with Jimmy. I cringe a few times at some of the Germans, but at least I will say, at whether it was a German or an exploder suplex into the turnbuckles or any of the blind back bumps you take into the turnbuckles, thank God everybody's okay, and at least we'll say they sold them all. They gave them all time. They made it matter, so they did not just pop back up and give a Canadian Destroyer. Match was really good. I figured there would be heat at the end. I had even tweeted something earlier. I figured Sami wins, Heroes Parade, somebody spoils it, and somebody gets some heat. I thought it was going to be somebody that would be coming out, whether it was a Bronson, whether it was a Sheamus having a quick heel turn, whatever. I was not expecting Chad, quite frankly. So that's fine. It was done well. It was shot well. I love the shot of him getting Sami in the ankle lock there towards the end, locked up in the ropes. My thing about this is that I guess this is a new era of Chad Gable, a new character, a heel Chad Gable. But again, he's going to have to go into the draft and get moved. Don't try to sell me Chad Gable now as a heel chasing Sami Zayn as the IC champion. Chad Gable had several really good contests with Gunther. Couldn't get it done there. Chad Gable just had a really good one with Sami Zayn for the IC title. Couldn't get it done. So don't sell me on Chad Gable. And even as heel Chad Gable, where he's willing to lie, cheat, and steal, Jimmy, as a ref, I'm not going to buy into that. So Chad Gable, okay, he's a heel. That's good. Fresh coat of paint for him. Fine. Right. But move him to a different brand. Move him to SmackDown. Move him to NXT. Do something. Get him out of the IC title picture, because he's had enough shots. I'm not buying into it anymore.
Do you think that Creed brothers, Justin, will stay with Gable? They helped train him. Do you think that we might see a group here?
It's a creative option. We'll see. You know,
I'm over the faction thing. We don't need more factions. I think, like what Justin said, Gable maybe could use a fresh coat of paint. Can you imagine? Because we've talked about the comparison between Chad Gable and Kurt Angle. There's so much of Kurt Angle I see in Chad Gable. Can you imagine a match between him and someone like a Randy Orton down the line? Them having a rivalry, they would blow the roof off the place. Those guys.
Yeah.
Wow. Jimmy, you're saying there's too many stables. You're done with them. Isn't that something you said about AEW in the past?
What?
Yeah.
So, hey, whoa! Wait a minute.
I mean, are you? I'm just. It's interesting. It seems like fair and unbused criticism.
Yeah. Why you got to bring AEW in? This is a WWE podcast here.
Hold on. I have some.
We're all in the WWE payroll, Jack. What are you doing mentioning those guys?
Well, apparently my check's been in the mail for 15 years now, so I don't know what the heck's going on.
Right.
But you know what?
I got Stanford checks I got to cash.
Yeah. I got some
you guys are
security camera
paid?
footage. Yeah, it's news to me, that's for sure. Anyway.
Hang on, the 203 area code's calling. Hang on.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
I won't mention them again, I promise. Jesus.
Right. It's
where everybody I knew in payroll doesn't work there anymore, so I'm out of luck.
Listen, I've always said if they start paying me, I will take every penny. But let's move on. This was good stuff. But we had something that took over the internet for a little bit here. We got some static on the screen, a QR code flashed, and if you took a picture of it, it took you to a video and showed you all sorts of stuff. It said, "Time to wake up. Take my hand. Things will be better. Trust me if you followed the clues." Now, Justin, this is of course, very similar to what we saw with Bray Wyatt. People now are assuming this is Uncle Howdy. There's obviously been news about Eric Rowan being pulled from indie events due to, quote, new contractual obligations. Are we seeing the rebirth of the Wyatt family?
Well, I don't know if I'd say the Wyatt family, but we're seeing the rebirth of something, and probably something that's going to pay respect to Bray Wyatt and continue that in our universe, It's going to continue that those characters. Whether if you watch the Bray Wyatt documentary, which is pulls the heartstrings on Peacock. If you go to the very end, it's again Easter egg, the way that the Wyatt creative always is. Post credits, they tease a character coming, and it looks like Taylor Rotunda in the Uncle Howdy attire, but it is silhouetted, so maybe it's something different. Something's coming. That happened. Matt Hardy tonight made a point to tweet the 15 seconds of the teases that happened. Of course, that got people buzzy. Matt Hardy, of course, has history with the Bray Wyatt character, and Matt Hardy is apparently a free agent. So there's a lot here. Eric Rowan's interesting. Eric Rowan was booked for East Coast Pro Wrestling, something this Friday, the Saturday. He can't make it. He told us because of contractual obligations. So that's got people buzzing. And I will add fuel to this just real quick. So this Friday, SmackDown. So obviously he can't. The event that he's supposed to be at was this weekend. He can't be at it because of contractual obligations. This Friday, they are here in Pittsburgh for SmackDown. I will be there. Pittsburgh is where the Firefly Funhouse was filmed. Pittsburgh is where all of the Bray Wyatt masks and special effects and all those things are done and created, which you saw in that documentary. So I could see logic of, well, if we're going to rebirth something besides just QR codes and clues, if we are actually going to show something to the live audience, where would we do it?
Interesting.
That is a very good point. And the thing that makes it extra interesting is, especially lately, WWE has been very good about those kind of callbacks as well and paying homage to those things. Even like tonight with Sami Zayn going through the same door he first entered to see his first show. And of course, Cody Rhodes getting the watch after. They're very clever about those things. I think if this was 5 years ago, I'd say that probably doesn't matter. But today it does seem to matter. Jimmy, how do you feel about? Do you like them doing something similar to this? Do you feel like it's a little like risky to be doing this? Because obviously, with all due respect to Bo Dallas, Uncle Howdy, whoever's going to be in there, you're not going to be Bray Wyatt. No matter how good you are, it's a different person. Do you think it's risky to try to pay homage to that, or do you think that this is still a good route to go?
I think it is always risky when you try to pay homage in that kind of respect, because Bray Wyatt was such an outstanding character. It's very tough to top that. And maybe that's the goal here, not to top it, but to pay homage to it, like you said. And please drop the Uncle Howdy name. I really don't think it fits at this point. Maybe even a Brother Bo name or something like that along those lines would work. And obviously, you talked about it, Justin, where Eric Rowan has potentially... the rumor mill is flying. Someone else I think would fit into this group if they do make it a 3-person group at least is someone like a Sean Spears, because that character he's portraying down in NXT, I think would actually mesh well with this. And if they take it in that direction, as opposed to the more cinematic style that we saw from Bray Wyatt, which was brilliant, but at the same time, don't try to copy what they did. Take elements of what he did and make it your own. And like I said, pay homage to the character of Bray Wyatt and to, his memory.
And don't forget about Alexa Bliss.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Manish thrown out Strowman. I don't know what Braun Strowman's is Braun Strowman injured, or is there a reason he's not on TV?
He had been out for injury for a while. I don't know if I know he was at Mania Weekend. I know he was actually at the Bloodsport event. I don't know what his his status is. But real quick, back to Jimmy's point, and I kind of alluded to this previous weeks when one of our conversations was about the Easter egg at the end of the Bray Wyatt documentary, about that they seem to be hinting towards a continuation of his characters, his universe. And I did say that I was be careful with it. And I had a hard time articulating it then, and I'm going to try a little bit better now. And it's kind of, Jimmy started kind of going down the path, is when you pull back the curtain and you show a documentary that's that real of here's this wonderful, brilliant man and performer who performed as Bray Wyatt and The Fiend, but then, okay, we're documenting what's real in what his life, which is he tragically died so young. I think that is a challenge for the audience to then get back into that mode. So you just watch Taylor Rotunda cry and bare his soul, and you feel for him as a younger brother looking up to his big brother passing away. I think there is a challenge to the audience to ask them to just let him morph back into a supernatural character, even if it's in the name of paying homage and carrying on his brother's legacy. It would almost be like, real quick, it would almost be like in like the late 90s if Mark Calloway tragically passed away and Glenn Jacobs as his storyline brother, mask unveiled and everything, talks from the heart and cries and then goes back into the Kane character. It's like, well, are you going to get back into it? It's that kind of a, can you get back into that supernatural element and buy it all? So I don't know what they're going to try to do. I'm here for it. I want to see and try and experience it, but I do think it comes with a unique set of challenges of trying to blur real life documentary where we talk about Wyndham Rotunda and we call him Wyndham the entire time and remind people he was a real person, and then try to switch back to supernatural, above and beyond mortal man. That's a tricky thing. So we'll see what they want to do. I'm intrigued,
Right.
but I think it's a wild challenge creatively to tackle.
I think too of these are kind of old references now, but I think of the Belushi brothers, for instance. How I mixed up which one was John and which one was Jim, but the
John was the blues brother who died in the 80s.
Yeah, so like John dies, and then Jim is great on his own, but you can't be John. You can't do the exact same thing and have us all love it. Same with Chris Farley passed away, and his brother was also a very funny guy, but you can't just step in and fill that role. And so I think they got to be very careful about you certainly can't just step in and do what do this. And Justin, I think your point is very true. Like once I know the real you, like the reason the Undertaker worked is he never showed who he really was before, and then come back. Once we saw who he really was, we were like, okay, well, actually, he's the Undertaker. We're still into it. He's too far in now, but you know what I mean? If it was back in the 90s and he was, just to your point, like being very emotional and personal and then jumping back into character, like, okay, this isn't working.
I think it would be more of a challenge back then than it is today because people are more in tune with that peeling back of the curtain. They've seen it a lot more often now, and they can kind of shut that switch off and, buy into the disbelief and to be entertained. And to the Undertaker point, Taker would never break character. You talk about the airport test all the time, Justin. He would walk through the airport and people would be in awe. And a lot of them would know who he is, but a lot of them would not approach him because he looked that menacing just walking through the airport. Because
Jimmy, correct, again, you lived it. Because even then, he dressed in all black. He without wearing the Undertaker wrestling attire in the ring, he dressed as the Undertaker.
Yeah, he was all black all the time. And like I said, that look on his face, it wasn't like he was staring at people mean or anything, but it just looked like that guy you didn't want to approach.
Unapproachable.
Yes, absolutely.
We had his eyes rolled back. You couldn't see where he was going. No.
That's a different story altogether, but anyway.
So we'll have to see how that plays out. We got new tag team championship belts revealed. New era, new belts. R-Truth steals the show in the whole presentation here, which is pretty fun. This leads to a triple threat to find a new number one contender for the tag team titles. It's DIY, Creed Brothers, and New Day, with DIY getting the win. Justin, I want to start with you here. First off, thoughts on the titles and thoughts on DIY winning the number one contendership.
Well, I like the new look of the titles. I've always thought the tag titles that we've had for the last couple of years look like just oversized, just coins, dimes. It didn't look prestigious. Okay.
Yeah.
So I like the fact that we're going from the silver looking whatever to this gold. I like the WWE logo where it's placed. It looks better. And when you create new titles, that means you can create new merchandise. And as I've joked about, there are people that will spend stupid money to walk around and proclaim themselves world champions as they walk around Walmart. So you will sell some title belts. I don't think I picked DIY necessarily to win this. I was a little surprised on that to an extent. And I love both of them. I love both Gargano and Ciampa, so this is nothing against them. I still feel like their height to the audience is when they are feuding with each other, and I don't feel like as we have these hot packed crowds every week, I don't feel like DIY is getting a consistent big reaction. So this may be a little bit of Triple H again. He's a fan of them. He's trying to push them, trying to get them in position of getting over. They're coming out cosplaying as DX, of course, associated with the R-Truth humor. I feel like WWE is trying everything to get this DIY thing over. I hope it does, of course. I have no want to see them fail and not work, so I hope that it could. I'd love to see a big celebratory reaction of them winning the titles, but I don't know if it was the right choice. I don't know if I would have picked them over the Creed brothers or New Day. I'll just leave it at that for now. Let me see how it plays out.
Yeah, Jimmy, I want your thought. First off, I love the new titles. I love that they are creating a unified style to the championships. I like that they all look like they fit together. One of the things that always bothered me is that the world title doesn't look anything like the tag team titles, doesn't look anything like the women's. Like, they don't look like they belong on the same show, or these all have kind of a standard look. They look like they go together. So I want your thoughts on the titles. I also want your thoughts on this match. There was a new rule. This was new from what I can understand. Yeah. The three-way tag where three people were in the ring at all times and they just tagged their own partner like a usual tag match. What did you think of that way of them doing that? Did you like that? Was that weird to you? Do you have any qualms with that?
Well, first I'll address the titles really quickly because you brought that up. I do like the new look, and like Justin said, unifying them because they did rebrand them the World Tag Team Championship now. So that fits perfectly with the World Heavyweight Championship as well. But as far as the new rules with these three-way tag team matches, I kind of liked it the old way, where you started with two guys in the ring and anyone could tag someone from the other team in. It kind of created more possibilities for tension, for creating more things. But when you have three guys in the ring at the same time, I get it. You have to tag your own partner, but I don't know. Maybe. No, go ahead, Justin.
No, I want to ask you as the referee. I've always been curious about this. On the previous way of only having two legal men, but there's three teams on the apron.
Right.
Why, as a legal man, would you tag anybody else other than your partner? Because if you tag anybody else, all you're doing is then giving them the opportunity for them to win. Wouldn't you always want to have somebody from your team, from your wearing your jersey, as legal and eligible to try to win?
Yeah, but the thought process behind that was you're letting the other two teams beat the crap out of each other, and that way you could probably take advantage. If there's a pinfall attempt, you can come in and break it up, that sort of deal. You know, that was the old mentality. And when you have three guys in there, it could it's like a three-way regular match. Is there no rules? Is there no disqualifications now? That's the problem now, because if you have a disqualification now in a three-man match, somebody gets disqualified. So who wins the match?
I see that challenge, but back to the whole thing of being able to tag anybody. I think, again, as we always preach, whether we're talking WWE or we're talking AEW, we always preach, try to be appealing, try to bring in new viewers. I think as you bring in a new viewer, that would be very confusing to me if I was a new viewer, as why the hell could he tag somebody that's not his partner? That would be hard to sell to me.
Right. But then the job falls on the excuse me. The job falls on the announce team to explain that to the audience. Maybe the crowd live might not get it right away, but at least the crowd at home could understand. Well, the reason why he looks like he's doing this is because he wants the other the other teams to battle each other and kind of wear themselves out so they can take advantage of the situation, that sort of thing.
It's Jimmy. It's almost as if they're going to do this, if again under new regime, new booking, if the new rules are going to be when we have triple threat tags, if there's three legal men, you almost need to make the matches automatically be elimination to where both two teams need to be eliminated. To make it make sense.
Right.
I would like that personally.
That does make more sense.
I was thinking this must have been a nightmare for the referee to keep track of who's legal. That must have been just a headache.
It can get confusing.
Because I feel like it's tough even with just the 2 teams, 3 teams, and 3 guys in it at any given time. That must have been crazy. So I like it, but I agree with Justin. I think elimination style would be the way to go. I get why they wouldn't do that because you don't want 2 people to have to take a pin. But
well, that was the idea. Sorry, Jack.
Yeah.
That was the idea about three-way matches was that someone could eat the pin to save someone else, so they don't have to.
Yeah. I like DIY winning this because they do have some history with Awesome Truth. So there's a little bit of baked in story there as opposed to just a random team. Not that the New Day is ever a random team, but so I like it. But I kind of agree with Justin. I'm worried because I can't imagine them winning this. And I feel like DIY needs some love if they need to get something going at this point.
I just think it's a little too early for the Creed brothers. Give them some time to marinate and let the crowd get behind them because these guys got it. That's for sure.
Oh yeah,
definitely.
Oh yeah. We got a bunch of Judgment Day stuff going down this week. Damian Priest is trying to fire up the team. Andrade beats Dom Mysterio, and after an attack, he gets Ricochet to save him, as well as Jey Uso beats Finn Balor. And gets pumped up by Cody Rhodes beforehand. I gotta ask you this, Justin. Someone put this in the chat, and I don't know what they're referring to, but it's about you. They said, I saw people misinterpret Justin's statement on Cody being a transitional champion on social media. What does Ethan Cruz are talking about, Justin?
I can't recall any. I assume he's talking about Twitter. I can't recall any tweet that I would have made that would have at all suggested Cody being a transitional champion. Ethan, please send me a follow-up on what that is. I have no clue. Sorry. I know this is not great podcast material. I have no clue.
Sure you do. You're just hiding because you got called out on it on Twitter.
I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think if I said anything on Busted Open that he's trying to interpret. But I've been fully in favor of Cody as champion. I've been fantasy booking. I've been taking fantasy booking when Cody and Rock could have a match or who.
Beer Money's saying Busted Open. I think you joked Cody isn't holding the belt for long.
Well, keyword would be joked.
Yeah.
Keyword would have been joked.
And Ray J's World with the super chat says, FYI, Matt Hardy tweeted the QR code from Raw. Is the Woken one coming? Yeah, we talked about that a little bit, Ray J. He might be.
I don't know. I know Matt's a free agent. I know this. I can tell you this. I can say this. I know from talking to Matt about this back in the day. I know Matt loves, I guess we're calling him Wyndham. Matt loved Wyndham. He loved working creatively with him. So don't know anything else, but I can tell you that. And I'm not breaking any big news here. If Matt Hardy was right here, he would tell you the same thing. He loved working with him. So it is interesting that Matt made a point to, hey, everybody, look at the teases,
Right.
So
he's also, I've never talked to Matt Hardy ever in my life, so I can't really speak for how his mind works. But I feel like if you're a free agent in pro wrestling and someone is doing something big and your name has been attached to it in the past, you throw it out there and see if fish bite.
Especially if your AEW contract ran out naturally, which I understand it did. And if Tony Khan is showing any bit of interest, even if he's throwing out a dollar amount that's lower than what you want, if he's entertaining trying to re-sign you, of course you try to ring up the market of having Tony, because Tony's apparently on Twitter at all hours of the day, have Tony pull his phone up and go, well, Matt's... Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Is Matt, hang on. Of course you drive the price up.
That's the funny thing about the two different bosses from back in the day. My old boss, who can we name him now? Or no. I don't know if we're allowed to name him. Okay. Nope. But anyways, he never slept. He was awake 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for different reasons because he was too busy working on his brand. Whereas Tony, like you said, is on his phone 24/7, needs to put that thing down.
Yeah.
Well, the Cody Rhodes, he comes out, says a few things, kind of pumps things. I thought Cody was getting a new championship today too, but
I did too. Yeah, I thought that for a second.
I actually really like the one he has now, though, so I'm kind of okay with him not changing.
He keeps teasing that he wants to bring the Winged Eagle back. He talks about bringing the old IC title back years ago, but it's like the WWE has so much invested in this new line of WWE championships with NHL, with MLB. It's like they're kind of gonna that's like kind of like them taking a piss on their awesome business dealings with the mainstream sports brands if they completely revamp their world title. So it's the tough thing.
I have a question for you guys. What you think? Because seeing Cody come out tonight, ever since WrestleMania, he's been on every show, Raw, SmackDown so far. Do you think there's possibility of them giving us too much Cody at this point? Yes, technically he's supposed to be the SmackDown guy, but he's showing up on Raw. I get the Raw after WrestleMania. You have to present him there for sure. But do you think they're running the risk of burning the people out on Cody a little bit by presenting him so often and not making him feel as special when he does appear?
Justin, you want to take that one?
If this was going on for months on end, absolutely. But I think because we're in this weird purgatory of what by the end of the month they're going to do the draft, and he's either going to remain SmackDown or he's going to get moved to Raw. I think he's actually going to move to Raw. Personally, I think it's fine because. Here's why, Jim. Everybody that bought tickets to tonight's show, everybody that bought tickets to SmackDown this Friday in Pittsburgh, everybody bought it. Everybody bought it weeks or months ago. So give them all Cody so they don't feel disappointed. But then let the draft happen. Establish he's on that show, and that's the show he shows up at. Right now, he's just doing his victory lap.
Right.
Yeah.
He's just doing his victory lap. Let it happen. That's fine.
Okay.
Beer Money with an interesting point said, I think tonight was to close the book on Jay and Seth. He said goodbye on Raw, basically. Keith just agrees. Yes, Jimmy. You're gonna get sick of Cody.
I personally, I could see them switching. I could see with a draft them moving Cody to Raw, moving Judgment Day to SmackDown, move Gunther to SmackDown. So he has, unless Gunther's going to challenge Cody, then whatever. But I could see them totally flip flopping just to give again fresh opponents, and then mix in NXT however you do.
Yeah, it'll be interesting because it'll be interesting to see if they favor Raw or SmackDown. With Raw being on Netflix, they've got their money there. I don't know how they track. Like, I don't know if they care how many people.
Well, that's not till January though. That's a long ways away.
Yeah. I guess I see them more like in the future.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how they're gonna track who's viewing it on Raw, and if they don't care, if they care as much. I mean, they'll care, but like, will they try to load up SmackDown since it's still on cable or will they try to load up Raw? I don't know.
Well, if anything, they load SmackDown first because SmackDown's going to make the move back to USA, so they're going to want to have a big bang of a debut show there. That'll be October.
Anyways, a lot of Judgment Day stuff. I think the biggest thing, and Jimmy, I'll get your thoughts on this, is Damian Priest didn't seem very happy about them attacking Jey Uso after the match.
Yeah, and you saw a little bit of tease there where even Finn Balor shot him a look.
Yeah.
But like I said earlier, we see Damian Priest emerging as the leader of Judgment Day, and now as World Heavyweight Champion, there's a different aura about him. You can see a big difference in the way he's presented on TV, and that's a lot to do with him. He seems more confident. He seems like more sure of himself. And even when he talks in his promos, you feel that confidence. You feel that he is a guy. He's a leader. Mm-hmm. And I like that. I like what I'm seeing from Damian Priest here. At first, like, hey, I can admit when I'm wrong. I didn't know if he would be the guy to hold this championship, but right now he's convincing me that he could be the guy to actually lead the brand into the future, that championship title.
And shout out to that video vignette of Priest's path. That was great. Mm-hmm. That was great to show Priest, to show that how he got to where he is, and show pictures of him on the Independence, and voiceover of him talking about he's homeless a decade ago. I thought that talk about, again, let's call it what it is. Right. There's two world champions, but we all know there's a pecking order. Cody has the number 1 world title.
Yeah.
Priest has the number 2, but that goes a long way again of trying to just let you believe in, okay, this is a world champion. This is a world champion to still believe in this company.
And it was one of those classic, if you've never seen who Damian Priest is before and you see that video, you go, this guy's awesome.
Yeah.
That's such a great story.
Yep.
And it does lend to me thinking he's going to jump to the other side of the tracks, though, because how can you not love him after that and seeing what he came through and fought through to get to where he is? How can I boo him? You know? Like how? So I get a feeling.
Jack, that goes back to earlier when we talked about Rhea. I hate it because I love all of the individuals that are in Judgment Day. I really do. I love all of them, and I feel like I'm constantly predicting time on death of the group, but I just feel like we're at a point where it's like everybody thinks Dom's a POS, and we've all booked him 2-time and mommy, and there's money there, and he's a great heel, so that's that. Finn and JD, I don't know. They're kind of, they might be over to NXT prime real estate potential just for a reset. Rhea's gone for for however long. And then, this Priest, you show a package like that, it's like, well, I don't want to boo Priest.
Yeah.
Right.
And Priest cashed in beating Drew McIntyre, who everybody hates right now. So, it's like, I really feel like Judgment Day just might need to be done for now.
Speaking of booing people, I got, this is a little personal thing I got to say. Host here at Wrestling Inc. here in the chat, Flobo Boy saying LaBar section. And look, I don't blame him.
Love
LaBar,
that.
you're great. I'm a fan of you too. But he does it when I'm here on the show, literally wearing a Flobo Boys shirt. He's not. And
Flobo, don't listen. I'll have that shirt ordered by tomorrow. Don't worry.
There you go.
Like what the heck, Flo? I'm wearing your merch, and you're not the farmer. You're not the fields of the farmer. Come on.
Flobo is a LaBarbarian.
Oh wow. Okay.
Well,
I was going to send him a Ref and Rant T-shirt, but now I've changed my mind.
Next week, Flobo, I will wear your merch, and I will be doing I'll be doing a LaBar rant, drinking coffee in the mornings. I will be taking everybody's gimmick.
Oh my goodness! Yeah. You know what? I'm going to have to wear a Dudleyville baseball jersey next week with my 3D cap, and we'll see.
Oh, don't start problems with me and Bully. Come on.
Yeah, you don't want that.
I don't want that.
No, I wouldn't wish that on anybody.
My busted open week is busy enough. I don't need ring a ding ding from Uncle Bully.
I'm just gonna end this on Flobo saying, "I'm dying here." Ha ha ha. Good.
Flobo, I got you.
Dying again.
I got you, Flobo.
So we had Sheamus return, faced Ivar. Good to see Sheamus back, Jimmy. Any thoughts on this one?
No, Sheamus looked good. Solid match again, and he looked like he's back and ready to go, and the people were behind him. So it looks like a babyface Sheamus is working right now, and if he does decide to go heel, boy, will they turn on him quick, because he could do both. He's a master at getting both reactions when he wants to. So good call there, and glad to see him back.
I always say Sheamus is like one of the most underrated Hall of Famers that are currently on the roster in WWE. Justin, thoughts on Sheamus coming back, and what do you think? Where do you think he fits in the big picture right now in WWE?
Well, I'm a huge fan of him coming back. I'm glad. I knew that he had some neck issues. So as we talked about with Big E earlier, that's a huge. Yeah, you don't know. So I'm glad that he's back. Looks great. He's in his 40s. He looks great though. In terms of where I see him, Jack, here's what's great about Sheamus is he came back to a great positive response. Great fan, great pop. I could, I could see him doing anything. And again, the draft's coming up, so it's just wide open. I could see if they wanted to have him, if they wanted to have the cocky, brash Logan Paul keep talking crap. I would love to see Sheamus get in his face and say, "Come on, fella, you ain't ever YouTube this. You ain't ever faced me." I would love to see that. I could also see Sheamus quickly turning heel, and I think he's a fantastic challenger for Cody.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's a fantastic challenger, and I tweeted this tonight as my prediction. I think he's a fantastic challenger for Sami, and as I alluded to in previous episodes of this podcast. They all run together, so I don't remember if it was last week or 2 weeks ago or whatever. Forgive me. But when they started running Sheamus vignettes of his return, they did it Michael Cole noted the IC title is the only title that Sheamus has never held. And then the next segment was a Sami Zayn segment. So I could see him challenging Sami Zayn, turning heel quickly and challenging Zayn, whether it's as soon as Backlash in Lyon, France, or whether they draw it out to Clash in the Castle in Scotland. I understand that he's Irish, he's Ireland, but you could have fans from Ireland travel to Scotland and whatever.
If I'm going to say everyone is in Jimmy's backyard for all of Canada,
right,
we'll just put Scotland and Ireland together.
Exactly. If I can at least identify the separate countries in Europe, I think we're okay. So yeah. I think the thing is you can do anything with Sheamus because he's like the ultimate utility. He's like Randy Orton, the ultimate utility player.
And you got to throw Miz in that mix as well. He's another guy that can do that as well.
Yes.
And isn't Scotland, Ireland all UK? Isn't
they're all it's all
so they're all
same.
I'm in America. I don't know what the rest of the world is doing.
Wales in there too.
I don't know. It's all Europe to me.
Well, welcome to Wrestling Inc. geography lesson, ladies and gentlemen.
The last match we had was Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell versus Ivy Nile and Maxine Dupree. And Chelsea Green and Piper Niven versus Caden Carter and Katana Chance. Chelsea Green and Piper Niven get the win, looking like they're getting on a roll, as well as Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell going further and further to the dark side. I was going to say both of them seem like they're lining up for tag team title shots, but I think it's not a good time, Justin, to be a face female tag team right now.
No, it definitely feels like they're trying to heat up the heels, which that's fine. Get some depth. That's just where the cards are falling right now. And again, let's see where the draft places everybody. So,
Jimmy, any final thoughts on any thoughts on those two matches?
No, they serve their purpose. Let's put it that way. And Candice is really emerging herself as a monster heel, and Piper Niven, and they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, is getting some heat, because a good protagonist needs a good antagonist, and that's what they're doing.
Candice is finally standing out. Candice for too long was so generic. She tried. She made her hair purple, so another girl had purple hair, or she tried different things to stand out, but she just didn't. She is finally breaking through and starting to create an identity where it's like, okay, I see her, I recognize her. She's got a story that I can recall from the week prior. She is finally and again, that's probably also on the booking team. So good on everybody, because she's finally standing out. For a long while there, she just blended in as just blended in another talent.
And she's really taking in this character and really putting a 100% effort into it, and she's doing a hell of a job.
Yeah.
And yes, I'm a little biased because I know her.
Yeah. Andy's doing a great job of being like the conflicted, cheating is helping, but I don't like it, like, character too. It's so that the story is as well as playing out really well. So
that's another little twist. That's all.
So Viper Kid saying, thank you for the laughter and Triple J love. Thank you so much, Viper.
Thank you.
Good to see you. So I think that does it for us. Oh, I don't think that does it for us. It does do it for us. That's the end of the show. Have some confidence, Jack. Just say it's the end of the show. It is the end of the show. So as we'll go around here, everyone in the chat, let us know what you thought of the show. Justin, any final thoughts, and where can the world find you online?
Hey, no, it's another good Raw. We're done with the WrestleMania hangover. Now we're pushing towards Backlash. As we talked about extensively, there's a lot of things to be interested in. The draft poses a huge wild card of where people are going to be, so that's fun there. WWE's again, I'm cashing the paycheck. WWE is firing on all cylinders right now. You can nitpick, but look at the attendance numbers. That's number one. That's the number one metric that is always true. How many people are buying a ticket to come see when you come to their town? They're firing on all cylinders. So we'll be back next Monday to talk about Raw. In the meantime, follow me on social media at Justin LaBar. Busted Open Friday morning. Spar with LaBar. Myself, Dave. I think Nick Nemeth. the charismatic former Dolph Ziggler, and then of course every single Sunday, the entire 3 hours, busted open 9 a.m. to 12. Myself and Jonathan Hood. So if you want more of me, you'll find more of me.
Double J on Sundays, right?
Double. Well, and if you say that, if you call and say Double J, Jonathan Hood has written it into our contracts that if you call and identify as Double J, you will get he and I singing the Jeff Jarrett song.
Oh, I want to hear it. I want to hear it.
We did it this past Sunday. And he has worked. It is in black and white contract. He would not continue on unless all parties signed off on that. If anybody identifies as Double J, we have to sing, and so we sang.
I want to get one of those Double J hats. I don't know, just good stuff.
I want to get a Triple J hat. Let's. Where can we find those?
Yeah, we need to get some merch. Wrestling Inc. Jimmy, what did you think of the show? Where can we find you online?
I thought it was a really solid show. It continued the momentum. The roller coaster ride is over. We're now on a level playing field. The train is going forward, and they're planting some seeds and some stories that are, like we always say, WWE doesn't do anything or show anything by accident. So everything has a purpose, and I like that. So as far as where you can find me here on Monday nights after Raw with you guys, Triple J, and on Wednesdays. You'll be there, Jack, right?
Yeah,
and you're going to be sick. You're going to be sick of me this week because I'll also be sitting in on Friday after SmackDown. And
yeah, I'll be on SmackDown too. I think
that's a lot of Jimmy Korderas.
Oh, if you can handle it. And then the Roughing It Up podcast with my good brother in stripes, Brian Hebner, and I, and RJ, who holds the glue together. This week we have WWE Hall of Famer Teddy Long on. So holla, playa.
Holla.
That's going to be a lot of fun. And of course, my Ref and Rants from Monday to Friday. You can catch them on all my social media platforms where I just like to have a little fun, sip my coffee, and give you my opinions, because those opinions expressed on Ref and Rant are those of me and me alone. And we could respectfully disagree if you don't like what I have to say.
Yeah, what was up with your Playboy Hugh Hefner robe?
Oh, I don't know. I just, it was the closest thing I had to a pink robe, but I just didn't feel like putting on a shirt or anything.
Were you dressed underneath?
That's a story for off air.
He had a gold necklace on, I'm sure.
Well, I did. I do have my. I have my little.
I made it a point to have my coffee and watch Jimmy do his coffee rant. And I sat down. It's beautiful. It's finally beautiful sunshine here. I sat down outside. Birds are chirping. I got my coffee. And I started scrolling. I'm like, what the hell is Jimmy doing? What is he wearing? What is he not wearing?
Well, at least it wasn't my wife's robe.
Please
sorry, Dave, but
oh, now you're shooting at LaGreca.
I can't wait for LaGreca.
I'm telling him. You just said that.
Here it comes. Hey, after I did some Korderas karaoke for him, putting over Cody. Well, hell.
Well,
I'm telling you.
This train is off the tracks, folks. I want to thank everyone for joining us. Bernie DC, Joey Image, Great Stadium, Max Feldman, Flobo Boys, Baby Ice, Keith J, everyone else. Like, comment, share, subscribe. You can find me at Real Jack Farber across all social media. And you can check me out doing commentary for Santino Brothers on Sunday. I think that's the next show I'm doing there. But also, as Jimmy mentioned, I'll be here Wednesday. I think I'm here on Friday too. I'm like anchor man. I don't know what I'm doing until I look at it on the calendar, but I will be here on Wednesday. Jimmy and I got into a little fisticuffs on Wednesday last week, so maybe we'll do it again. Who knows?
Well, it wasn't real fisticuffs.
No,
it was just a disagreement.
It wasn't fisticuffs. You just choked me until Samoa Joe pulled me away, and
there's no security footage of this at all, so I plead in.
There's no pulling away. Samoa Joe scooped up Jack Jack Perry like I scoop up my kid from the playground.
In Jack Perry's defense, I think Samoa Joe could do that to just about anybody.
Like I said last Wednesday, if it was a disrespect thing, thank goodness it wasn't Haku.
Yes. Well, that said, that does it for us, everyone. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, follow at Wrestling Inc. for all your latest wrestling news, and tune in to the NXT After Show tomorrow after the show. That does it for us, and I'm clicking that end stream button.